Hey.
Hello. Good
Hello.
afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Right, let's see if we've got anybody here yet. We've got 4 people so far. So hello, welcome. I'm just going to share my screen, and then we can wait and just give a few couple of minutes to see if anybody else joins us. Whilst we are waiting. Hi, I'm Abby, and this, I don't know where you can see this, is Jo.
I'm next to you in the corner, but they've got double whammy at the moment because they've got us in live and on the screen as well, on the slide.
Fantastic.
We look the same as well, so that's good.
Just the wrong way around on my screen.
It's the wrong way around.
Right, we've got quite a bit to get through today. So First of all, everybody for joining, registering, and I want to make a special thanks to all the evolving HR ambassadors and members who have shared and talked about today's event on LinkedIn to try and get some more people to hear about it. Money is such an important subject. Jo and I both are really, really passionate about trying to make money simple for people and start talking about money more. So that's what today's all about. So we are, without further ado, I'm going to get going. It's money made simple at home and in the boardroom. I'll be talking about personal finances, and Jo's going to be talking about how you can be more confident with the numbers in the boardroom. So thank you very much. So today's webinar, we're going to make it as interactive as we possibly can. We've got a Slido going so that you can ask some questions anonymously. If you haven't used Slido before, it's completely confidential. We don't know who's putting the questions in. All you need to do is get your mobile phone out, scan this QR code that's on the screen right now, and then you can start to... hang on a second. I'm racing ahead there, sorry. You can start asking your questions. There's some polls, we've got some thought-provoking questions that we've got throughout the webinar today, and so please, if you can, join the Slido. So first of all, I'm Abby. As I said, I'm Abby Birch. I'm an award-winning financial wellbeing and money expert. I've got 25 years of experience in the financial services industry, and I'm an experienced and qualified financial advisor, financial coach. I've also done lots of training, and I am a mental health first aider too. Over to you, Jo.
Oh gosh, how do you follow that? So I draw on 25 plus years, actually it's 36, but 25 makes me sound much younger, as a corporate finance business partner. And I've worked across various industries that I've put some logos on at the bottom there. So some FTSE 100, financial services. And my specialty now is in making financial insights accessible to help leaders make smarter commercial decisions. And I've also put my QR code on there, which for me is quite tech savvy. So there we go. That's how you can contact me.
I will talk about it a little bit later on about how you can work with both of us and what we both do and what we can both offer you all. So before we sort of get into the main content today, if you can scan the QR code on your screen and join Slido, I'd really like to hear how money, the word money, makes you feel. And hopefully, with the power of technology, we might start to see some of the words appear on the screen.
That's my favourite thing, technology.
I can see some people are typing
icky, like that one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Negative.
Read.
Oh dear, we've got our work cut out today, haven't we, to make people feel confident about money. Edgy.
Hey. Stressed, yeah.
These are all really, really common words that Jo and I hear regularly around money. It feels like money is complicated. It feels like it's we were talking about like how it feels like it's maths, and a lot of people don't feel like maths is an easy topic. So it's part of what we do. Both of us are really, really passionate about trying to make it much more accessible for people, and try and change some of these negative words into more positive words. So I'll just let somebody else is just typing, so I'll let them. Oh,
Empowering.
That's great.
That's a positive one, isn't it? So yeah, that's good. That's good.
So what I'm going to cover today is I'm going to have a look at financial well-being and why it's important and how we can improve it. So really the what about financial well-being, the why about financial well-being, and the how about financial well-being. I'm also going to touch upon building some financial resilience and look very quickly at the financial well-being in the workplace and the impact that has on your teams right out there in the workplace. So without further ado, I shall move on.
Oh, can you click through my just click. I was trying to be whizzy. And then I'll be talking about how you build commercial confidence through numbers. So we'll be looking to see how you can become a translator. So I'm using Abby's 3 C's just for today. So we're looking at clarity, which is the language of numbers and how they tell a story. Connection is linking numbers to the business impact and how your decisions affect the organisation. So how critical what you do is also in the organisation. And then control is around building, again, it's around resilience, really, building a commercial toolkit so that you feel in control of this whole process and are not scared by it.
Excellent. Thanks, Jo. So let's first of all have a look at what financial well-being is. And to be honest with you, this is it will probably cover both Jo and my sessions with you today. But first of all, financial well-being is not just about how much money you have in the bank. It's more about how you feel about it. And there are some key elements to financial well-being. But on the screen, there's a definition here from the Money and Pension Service, which says, financial well-being is about feeling secure and in control. It's about making the most of your money from day to day, dealing with the unexpected and being on track for a healthy financial future. In short, financially resilient, confident and empowered. And what I've done is I've mapped some of this across to the diagram on the other side. With really, if you take financial well-being and that feeling of financial well-being in the middle, we can look at it in 4 different elements. So today and in the future, regarding security and also the choices you have with your money. So security today is being able to keep up with your day-to-day expenses, being able to pay for those non-negotiables like your mortgage, your rent, being able to afford to get to work, be able to afford to pay your shopping bill. And if you've got those things sorted and you can afford to do those, then that's probably a tick in that first box. And then moving forward to the future with security, what that is talking about is being able to deal with unexpected financial shocks. So unfortunately, I can't stop them from happening, but being prepared and being able to deal with those unexpected financial shocks. And if you've got some money set aside, an emergency fund, rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it, then you've probably got a tick in that box too. And then moving on to choices, we all want to have choices with our money. And today that looks like being able to choose whether to go on holiday or be able to go out for dinner or have a takeaway or pay for your hobbies or the luxuries that you like in life, that you can actually choose to be able to pay those. And again, if you've got a tick in that box, you probably feel pretty good about your money. And then the last thing is about choices. It's being on track for the life you want. So are you on track for your financial goals? Have you set any financial goals? They could be small goals, such as setting up an emergency fund, bigger goals like buying a house or getting married, or future goals, like, are you coming up to retirement? Are you on track for the retirement that you want? So if you've got a tick in every single one of those boxes, and I'll come back to them as we go through today, if you've got a tick in those every one of those boxes, you probably feel okay about your money. And based on your answers already, I'm assuming that some of you may have identified areas already that you may be struggling with.
Abby, can I just ask a question? Can I ask you a question there? Sorry, because you just said something quite interesting around financial goals, because I'm going to just throw it out there as to how many people might have financial goals, because I don't know that I necessarily did. So I think that's a really important point to get across.
Yeah, it's all, I'll come on to it in a bit, Jo, but having even micro goals gives us something to look forward to and keeps us motivated. And you probably would say the same in your, if you're training a team member, or you're managing a team, or you're managing your department, that actually having those goals and having something to look forward to and actually aim towards, and that you can track your progress against, keeps you motivated and makes you feel better. And I think Mel Robbins, I don't know if any of you have listened to her podcast, one of her very, very first podcast episodes, says that, a lot of people are depressed, but it's because they haven't got anything to look forward to. And that is, if you've got any goals in life, that gives you something to look forward to. And it's the same across everything, not just your money. But when we're talking about our financial well-being, it's really important to notice that there are some things that outside of this quadrant, as it were, actually do impact how we feel about money. So I mentioned retirement then. That's key stages in our life will make us feel insecure about our finances, or worried about our finances, or there's a change in our circumstances. And then we've got things like our background and the stories we tell ourselves, how we were brought up with by money. Our own financial literacy and our own financial confidence will also feed into this. And that's what things like today are about. That's what my webinars are about. That's really what I try and talk to people about, is the more that we can learn about money, the more confident we will feel dealing with it, and are also asking for support. And social media has such a big impact about how we feel about money, and how we should be dealing with our money, which leads to comparisons. And we all know that comparison is the thief of joy, but it's really true when money is concerned. And again, I hear it a lot in my work. It's like, our next door neighbour had been on holiday for three times this year, and we can't afford even one holiday. Can they afford it? Do you know, are they pulling their hair out behind the closed doors going, oh my goodness, why have we gone on holiday? We've put it on the credit card. So we really have to be careful about the comparisons that we draw on our own finances. And then money is the last taboo, really, one of the last taboos. It is the biggest, I think, dare I say the word, the CIPD have released some figures in the last couple of weeks around how mental health is now the number one factor in long-term absence. It's the number one long-term absence in the workplace. And money really, really is one of the biggest causes of poor mental health and mental health challenges that people have. But we don't like talking about it. We don't like asking for support. There are a lot of shoulds around money. We should be doing better. We should be going on holiday. We should have savings. And actually, it's all personal to us, and we haven't been given the tools, the literacy skills around money to be able to manage it. And I think what I'm trying to do is break down some of those barriers to say, look, actually, why would anybody know about money? You just don't know what you don't know. Come and find people like me who are, want to talk about it, want to help, want to, educate people, and so that they can have better skills to be able to manage that better. And then lastly, leaders as well. So it doesn't matter that, going back to my first original point, is that more money doesn't necessarily mean that you have better financial well-being. And actually, the shoulds become louder the more money you earn, because you feel like you should know it by, the bigger your salary. And income creep is a massive, massive part of financial well-being. The more money we earn, the bigger our bills become and the bigger the problems become. So, it's just to bear all of that in mind. And obviously, we're talking about it more now because of Brexit, the global pandemic, various conflicts around the world, interest rates and inflation have gone up, and which has led to more people are living paycheck to paycheck. Nearly half of all employees in the UK are estimated to be living paycheck to paycheck. So you're certainly not alone if that's how you feel. So why does it even matter? Well, REBA include it in one of their 4 pillars of overall well-being. And actually, to be fair, generally it's considered one of the 4 pillars of well-being. So you've got your physical, your mental, your social well-being, so healthy relationships at home, social connectors and connections and senses of belonging within communities. And then the last one is really the financial one. But interestingly, finance kind of sits underneath all 4 of those. It's almost like a foundation. And if you've got poor financial well-being, it affects all of those other areas. It's kind of unique in that sense. But what are the positive impact? And when you feel good about your money, what's the positive impact of that? Well, we've just spoken about you have better overall well-being and stronger relationships, better resilience to be able to deal with things better, make better decisions, build healthy money habits. You're less likely to get in debt, have better stability, and then overall better physical, mental health and self-worth. So it's really, really important that we get these foundations right and we get, that we feel good about our money. So the flip side of that, though, is that if we haven't got great financial well-being and our finances feel like they're out of control, or picking up on some of those words, we feel anxious about money, we feel worried about money, it can affect our overall mental health. We're likely to have poor sleep, relationship strains, arguing with your partner, become more isolated. We might avoid or catastrophize, around decisions. It might be harder for us to make decisions, because we might have indecision as a result of it. And then we might start impulse spending, hiding debt, forgetting bills. So it becomes a bit of a spiral. And then common emotional responses to this is guilt, shame, overthinking. We're all, we've all been there, we've all done it. And then this, I've got work on here, this can ultimately impact our work. We may be able to not work, we might be on reduced hours or time off sick, but it may very well affect our productivity. And it's estimated to cost £1,000 per employee per year for businesses due to absenteeism and reduced productivity caused by financial stress alone. So these are really quite big figures. So we've got another poll now. How would you rate your financial well-being? I've got some emojis for you this time, so it's nice and easy. If you can go back. Oh, excellent. Oh, has somebody changed their mind? Yeah, it's not surprising. Things are, as I say, things are really tough out there at the moment. And it is a story that I'm hearing more and more, that people are really struggling with their financial well-being, their finances. We can't get away from it, unfortunately. It's in the news constantly. So it doesn't really surprise me that people are struggling. So thank you for joining in. So how do we make this better? How do we boost our financial well-being? If we're sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, my financial well-being is not great, let's have a look at how we can actually make a difference and move the needle on that. So I've got 3 C's here to help you boost your financial well-being: control, clarity, and connection. So control is about focusing on what you can control. Clarity is getting to know your what's coming in, going out, around your income, because that reduces uncertainty, which is a major driver of anxiety. And then lastly, connection. So people, resources and networks that you've got around you that can help reduce money stress and stop you from struggling. So I'm sure many of you have seen the circle of control, but this also works for money. It's a really, really great tool when you're worried about something. So it categorizes worries into 3 areas. The outer circle is things we can't control. The next circle in is things that we can influence, the circle of influence. And the middle circle is the circle of control. So things that we can directly control, such as our thoughts, actions, and the decisions we make. So I thought I'd give you some examples from a money point of view. And Joe, you might want to throw some in too. But from the things you can't control, we're talking about things like the government. You can't control what the government decides about money. You know, and actually, you know, unless we're part an MP or we're part of the cabinet, and probably Rachel Reeves, to be fair, directly, we have no control over that. And likewise, we have no control over the economy and how the markets respond to what the government is doing, or those external factors we spoke about, like Brexit or the pandemic or any of those things. We have no control over those, or other people's opinions. So, you know, we have no control over that. So it's almost not worth worrying about what other people think, and, you know, concentrating on what we can control. And then the next layer in the things you can influence. So a really good example of that is your income. You actually can't control your income directly because that is set in stone by your employer normally, or the work that is coming in. But what you can do is you can influence it through your own career choices, such as, you know, going for a promotion or your own personal development and your own performance at work. So we do have some influence over our income. And then the middle circle is the circle of control. So what have we got control over with our money? So we've got control over what we spend and what we save. You've got control over your own financial goals, whatever that looks like for you. Your own mindset, you know, how you choose to show up for your money. And we can all challenge unhelpful beliefs. So how does this work in practice?
Sorry, I was just going to
So if you've got any that you want to throw in.
Well, I just think with that circle of control, with this control, things you can control is choice. You have the choice of what you spend your money on. And that's really important. Yeah,
absolutely. So how we use this in practice is have a think, and again, it doesn't have to be money, but as we're talking about money, have a think about the situation that's causing you concern or stress, and then categorize which aspects of that situation you can control and which you can't, the outer areas. And then direct your energy and your efforts towards the things that are within your control, and accept, you know, acknowledge and accept there are going to be aspects of the situation that are beyond our influence. But actually, we've got something that we can work on. And when you do that, it feels more achievable and you can make progress. And then you feel more motivated and you feel better about it. So some of the unhelpful beliefs that we tell ourselves will often creep up at this point. And I've got a couple of, I'm just going to give a couple, like, I'll never get on top of this. That's a common one I hear. You can swap that for, I can take one step today, and then actually look at what that one step is. The one I hear the most is, I'm bad with money. So I quite often will challenge this with people. It's like, actually, are you really bad with money? Are you paying your bills on time? Are you paying your rent? Have you got a roof over your head? Are you able to eat? Are you able to get to work? Now, they're all really good financial habits to be getting into. It means that you've recognised that they are kind of like your, when we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that is like your bottom of that hierarchy. They're the important things. So actually, if you're keeping up with those, you're not bad with money. Money is complicated. I've already said about, you know, how we feel like that, and actually we can change that to, I can learn one thing at a time to be able to support myself. And then some other quick actions on things you can control. So you can actually, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to move on to the next section, which covers it anyway. So the next area is clarity. And I created the CLEAR framework to make it easy to remember. So you can check in with your money. So review where you're at right now. Look at your income, look at your expenses, and look at your debt. That sometimes I will give you and grant you is the hardest thing to do. but you can check in then about like where you are with these things and how you feel about it. And then start defining what your needs are. So you'll have some non-negotiables in there. We talked about it, you know, keeping up with the day-to-day spending on that first, the first element. They're your non-negotiables, what we call your wants. And then you can start looking at the choices you want to make, the next quadrant down, like what choices do you want to make with your money, and what goals do you want to set with your money? Do you want to put some money aside for an emergency fund? Do you want to put some money in your retirement pot? Do you want to save for a holiday? Whatever that looks like for you, that's okay, but just have these goals in mind and then establish a plan to get to them. So one of the things I say all the time, you've probably, if you've ever spoken to me, you probably have heard me say this, is give every pound a purpose. You might have heard it, people say, pay yourself first. So before you get paid, work out where you want all your money to go. Don't wait to the end and see if there's anything left. And you can use simple frameworks like the 50-30-20 rule. People call it zero budgeting, the envelope stuffing method, whatever it, you know, whatever it is, make sure it works for you. It's realistic and includes money for your choices. And then automate it. Automate it, automate it, automate it. Set up standing orders and direct debits. Make sure you've got separate accounts. Name those accounts so you can see the progress that you are making and what you're putting your money into. And then obviously don't just, well, I was going to say, then you can set it and forget it so that it just happens regularly every month if you're paid every month. And then don't just leave it and just like forget about it, you know, review, make sure it still fits with your what you're trying to achieve. And then we've got connection. So connection is about talking about money, conversations about money, you know, with partners, friends. We all try and put off these conversations, you know, even talking to your employer or a support service. These are all amazing, or the bank, whatever it is. Start these conversations and start talking about money. Maybe set a money date with your husband, partner, wife, whoever you share money with. But start these conversations. It's something I'm so passionate about. The more we talk about it, the more it becomes normal. And then look at what support systems you've got available to you. So, and it's not just you, your partner is likely to have employee benefits as well. So have you got a mental health helpline at work, mental health first aiders? Can you go to your own HR for HR? And have you got like financial wellbeing providers that you can call upon to find out and support you with your money? And then you've got things like practical resources, so discount schemes, payroll savings, life insurance and pensions cover through your employer. And then you've got trusted organisations like Money Helper. They are a government-backed website that basically will give you any advice or guidance on any money topic you can think of. They've got it. They've got calculators for how much deposit you need, how much mortgage will I pay, how do I remortgage, what is my pension, do I have to start a workplace pension? Literally any money topic you can think about, they have advice and guidance. And as I said, it is government backed. You can ring them, you can look at their website, you can have a web chat with them. It's an amazing resource, Money Helper. There's another organisation which I want to flag, which is called Step Change. So if any of you are struggling month by month and you can't afford to keep up with your minimums and you feel like your debt is really getting on top of you, Step Change will be able to give you free confidential debt advice there and then on the spot. You can just ring them. They've got lots and lots of help and resources. They'll help you create a budget. They'll speak to your creditors. You know, they are an absolute amazing resource too. And then, of course, you've got Citizens Advice or Samaritans if it's really, really affecting you. So as I say, I just really wanted to briefly talk about how do you create financial resilience. And there's three real main drivers to financial resilience. The first one is saving an emergency fund. 22% of people have got less than £100 in their bank account. That's nearly a quarter of the population don't have even £100 in their bank account. And it just makes such a difference when people are, when things crop up, that you don't have to rely on expensive credit or credit card, expensive credit cards or friends and families. Last week, I heard of 2 different scenarios. The first one was somebody's dishwasher broke. They had some money put aside as an emergency fund, and they were like, basically, Abby, I'm sorted. I'm going to go and speak to my engineer repairman. I'm going to see what he recommends. Cost is no object. I can afford to go and do it. And the second person I spoke to last week said that their car had broken down. They couldn't afford to get to work, and they'd had to go and beg and borrow off of their parents to be able to afford to fix the car and get to work. So you can just see the different emotions immediately and what that would feel like in your body, the difference between having an emergency fund or not having an emergency fund. And typically we would normally say 3 to 6 months of your expenses, but quite frankly, if you're in the 25%, even if you can get to £100 or £200 is just brilliant. I spoke to somebody who reviewed their subscriptions last week off of one of my posts, and they said that they'd saved £50 by going back and doing that check-in, reviewing what they've got coming in, coming out. That's £600 immediately that they can save without even feeling it. The other thing is high interest debt. If you've got high interest debt like credit cards or loans, create a plan to try and pay that off. Use some of that money, put that in your plan. There's 3 different ways you can do that. So snowball, avalanche, or consolidation. Again, there's lots of information on Money Helper, or please reach out to me if you want some more information on how any of those methods of paying down your debt work. And it's UK Savings Week this week, so I can't move on without actually mentioning this. I've been banging on about it enough online. So, this is where some of these figures about like a quarter of the population doesn't have any savings. And I wanted to give you 4 quick tips to start. Find free money. I've just spoken about subscriptions. Check them and see, if you've got any that you don't do. We're all guilty of it. I've probably got some. It's an easy win. You can just redirect that into a savings account. Change providers and then save the difference. So that's what I'm talking about with redirect savings. When was the last time you checked your mobile phone contract? When was the last time you checked your energy providers? Can you reduce some of your direct debits and then start saving that difference, because you're already paying it and you won't notice it? And then change one small habit. You might not think like one takeaway a week or 1 cup of coffee a week will make a difference, but over the years it makes a massive, massive difference. And I spoke about Martin Lewis's demotivator tool, and it is eye-opening. If you have a sandwich for lunch or you buy your lunch every day, go and do the demotivator tool. It, like I say, you will not believe how much money you can save over the course of your working life. And then look at what options you've got in-house. So have you got payroll savings that you can easily automate and have the money taken out your pay slip before it even gets to you? And then I just wanted to really very quickly touch upon the impact of poor financial well-being at work. So estimated 5 working days per employee per year are lost. I already mentioned the less productivity. It's estimated £1,000 per employee per year is lost due to absenteeism and presenteeism due to financial stress in the workplace. 4% is added to payroll costs because of financial distress. These are not small figures. And the one that always gets me is that employees are twice as likely to look for another job when they're suffering with financial stress. And it is estimated that 77% of employees have suffered financial stress in the last 12 months, which means that 77% of your employees in your organisations are looking to move jobs because they're struggling financially. If you're feeling with all those words we had at the beginning about money, that is exactly how your team, your employees are feeling too. And anything you can do to support them is great. So this wasn't really about financial well-being in the workplace. It was about you. So the 3 key takeaways I want you to take away from me are: focus on what you can control, check in with your money regularly, and don't do it alone. So thank you very much. I've only just run over. So Jo, over to you.
Oh, that means I've got to work out how to...
So I need to stop sharing. Right.
That's okay. I need to start sharing and we'll see what you get. You Could be lucky. Have you got anything?
I can see it, but then I'm in with you.
Oh, I lost a word there. Right, so I've lost lots of words. So we're looking at building commercial confidence through numbers. So this is in your workplace. If you, I guess, the feeling is the same. Numbers are of concern, and I can't see the chat, Abby. So if there is anything that comes up, can you just pass it this way?
I will do.
Thank you.
I'm also looking to see if there's any Q&As coming through on the Slido. So
yeah, okay, that's lovely. So I'm taking Abby's 3 C's, as I say, just for today, and starting off with clarity, which is the language of numbers. So words, we know words, we put them into sentences, they have a meaning. A word on its own has a meaning. Put it into a sentence, you know what's going on. But it's just like, I would say it's just like music is a language. If I was to talk to you in French or German, which I wouldn't be able to do, you may be able to understand me. If you know French and German, you may not. And it's exactly the same with numbers. So we look at how we use the art of number translation. So they're not of any use on their own until we unlock the meaning. So you have to take the 2 languages of the number and how you translate that into the business impact. And it is possible. So if you just look at a number, what does it say? There's a bit, we'll get onto it, but it's a bit of so what? It's a number. It's gone up, it's gone down. But what makes numbers tell a story? We have to ask the right questions. What has changed? Why did it change? And what action can be taken? So we're looking at past costs, looking at what's happened, but then we're looking at what impact we can have for the future as well. So, for example, if I said staff costs have increased by 10%, so what? You know, it doesn't really mean anything. But there's a reason why the costs have gone up by 10%. It could be because NI has changed, because you've recruited more people. But the impact of that is that it impacts your bottom line profit. Unless you make changes, you either got to increase your sales to increase your income, or you've got to look to make changes elsewhere. And I know some of you will have been impacted by that earlier this year when the change in NI increased your sales staff costs, and then HR are told they have to find the money somewhere else, which actually isn't true, because for me, that's a collective decision. You know, we've got to pay more NI, but that's across the whole business. So how as a business do we look at how we manage this? But all numbers do tell a story. Then we looking at carrying on is what questions should you ask? And I've got a number of questions here that we would ask when we're looking at the numbers or the statistics or the ratios is, what's happening in the business when the numbers have been generated? What are the patterns? What are the trends? And how do numbers really impact real business outcomes like customer satisfaction, employee retention, or market position? So your costs go up, your profits go down. What do you do about it? If you don't invest in training costs, then your employee retention might go up because your employees feel disengaged. They're not getting the development that they need. So you're losing them. So then you have to go out and recruit and bring in and train new people. I can guarantee you that probably 99% of the time, the cost of training someone is less, or giving a bit more attention to who you've got is going to be less than the cost of going out and recruiting. You may know that. I may know that. It's how you explain that to the people where profit matters. So if you're talking to your CEOs or your CFOs, your finance directors, it's about how we speak that language to say, not just say, oh, our retention is high because we're not developing our staff and they're disenfranchised. It's actually putting a monetary value and a comparison on it. Now that I was having this conversation earlier, there will be some CEOs, CFOs who just won't get it, whatever you do. But it doesn't mean that you have to stop doing what you're doing in terms of that analysis. And how can you build on your translation skills? And there is a toolkit that we can go through or that we can put together, but it's turning every number into a because statement. So why is that number what it is? So what? And it's because, and as I've just said, retention is high because we're not investing, and it's carrying on that statement as to why something is happening. And we should compare numbers to something that's familiar. So it could be your budget, it could be a forecast, it could be prior year, prior month. It depends how seasonal your business is. Or it could be to a market benchmark. So I expect if you're looking at salaries, you already compare your salaries to a market benchmark or a location benchmark. And it's exactly the same thing with numbers. The process is the same. It's just the numbers are different. So I think it's a lot about this confidence. When people say that they're anxious or they're worried or they're not very good with numbers, I think you'll be surprised at what you can do. But it's not. But I think you need to gain that confidence. Like you say, that's really easy, isn't it? Just gain confidence. Hey, I'll stop now. But it's about how you can gain that confidence by giving yourself tools to be able to do it.
Jo, can I just stop you?
Yes.
Sorry, your slides that we can see aren't moving on.
So you're still on the first one?
Yeah.
That's really rude, isn't it? Do you want to share then and see if yours will work?
What slide are you on?
I was on.
We did prepare for this eventuality of there being an issue with the slides.
I was on slide. Was just going into slide 4.
Hang on, let's just have a quick look. Right. Can somebody pop in the chat if they can see my slides again? Because we did prepare for this. So which one are you on, Jo?
There, stop, go back. Can you, it doesn't matter, yeah, no, it's fine. So, I mean, oh no, you won't be able to see them, will you? I'll have to share the slides later with everybody. Gremlins, there's lots of gremlins. Tech gremlins live in my world. So then we go on to connection. So we've done what we've done so far, clarity, and we move on to connection. And this is the bridge building process. And this is where the so what question comes in. How do you turn those metrics into meaningful content, into telling the story, into what the impact is on the bottom line? So we take the numbers and we turn them into content that explains what they mean. Next one, please, caller. And how do you interpret the cause and effect of numbers? So you need to look at the impact chain. Now, I spoke earlier about, people may not think that customer satisfaction has anything to do with employee retention, but it does. Because, if you don't care about your employees, they're not going to be as productive as they could be. You probably lose them. So then you're going to lose some knowledge. And so customer satisfaction leads to more sales, leads to more profit. Go back a stage, happy employees leads to customer satisfaction. There is a connection there. People don't see it, but there is a connection there. Sorry, next one. Sorry, Abby. How do you make the connection visible? By using the phrase "which means." So if your training rate hits 95%, so if people have taken part in training and completed it, they may become better skilled. That means you can then take on more complex work, which means that you can offer that at a premium price. So I don't know if you can see that, by starting at the first part, it has a knock-on effect to everything. And then, how do you quantify the unquantifiable? So employee morale, that's how do you put a number against employee morale? So you have to find a proxy measure, and these might be different. I mean, what I've taken is you look at an employee engagement score. If it's low, your turnover is going to go down. If it's higher, your turnover is going to go up. And we can start to build. I mean, I can't tell you at the moment what those actual measurements would look like, but that's what you've got to look at. Everything has an impact on everything else. Then we go on to control and building your commercial toolkit. So if you click onto the next one, look at your essential toolkit. Ratio analysis. Now, I have got a slide with 5 ratios on it because we did promise you 5 ratios. But look at your ratio analysis to assess the financial health. These are core tools for making every commercial conversation. So these are the foundations and tools for your commercial conversations. Look at the trend analysis and spot any patterns that are happening. Is there a particular time that you start to lose staff? If your staff get a bonus, it might be just after bonus time. You kind of can plan for the fact that you might lose some because they've waited for their bonus and they're going to go anyway. Should I say that? Shouldn't I? But it's a fact. And then you could do some scenario modelling and learn those capabilities to test what if. What if we were going to invest more in training? What impact would that have on the other financial statements? And we can build a spreadsheet, plug in numbers. I'd rather people spent less time creating the data and numbers and more time analysing them. So it's that what if and doing some modelling to make changes. And it's a bit like it with your personal, it's exactly the same with your personal finance. What if my washing machine breaks down tomorrow and I haven't, like Abby said, if you haven't got a fund, it's starting to build up that understanding. And variance analysis is also important because it looks at why results differ from plan. Now, the plan is only as good as it is when you set it. You then may forecast what you're doing, but it's really important to look back as well as to look forward as to why something has changed. If you've had a lawsuit or something, you don't necessarily plan that someone's going to take you to court. So that might actually affect your final results. The next, roll on. Then we can create some standard templates. Now, I could do this and share with people if I know what people are looking for. But if you have standard templates, that then frees time up, as I said earlier, for insight by removing the time that you're spending producing the data. And I think we're all guilty of, sometimes it's easier to get stuck in that production of data rather than doing the next stage, which is looking at what it actually means. And once you've got that, you can then provide the audience with a consistent approach. So that's your customers, your internal customers, and that helps to lead to increased trust. Now, my favourite slide, next one, is, lovely ratios. Look at that. Lovely ratios. Now, I shall share this out afterwards, but this shows you, and I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to whiz through this one because I've got a bit on business case preparation. But these are key ratios that organisations look at. You know, return on equity, it shows how effective the company is at taking the shareholders' money and turning it into profit. Net profit margin, how much of each pound of revenue we earn translates into profit. Then, I mean, revenue per FTE, you probably already do, and absence cost ratios. And there's a whole heap of other HR ratios that I can put into a spreadsheet. So you can just plug some numbers in, look at the ratio, and then, but it only becomes useful when you're comparing it to other things as well. But that's my numbers bit for today. That's a lovely slide. So yes, so business case scenario planning. So what would you do a business case for? And it may be it's you don't really need to do a business case, but it's what problem are you solving? Let's go back to the earlier one, high staff turnover. What's the proposed solution? Well, they say they're not getting developed, so let's introduce a training program. What's the expected benefits? Engaged staff, lower turnover, so we save on recruitment. And what are the risks? Well, we might train people and then they just go off somewhere else. You know, so you might not be earning the benefit. Then when we look at the value financials, we look at the value of the original investment. So say we wanted to spend, I'm just plucking numbers, so bear with me, £50,000 on a super duper training course. The benefits that you get back, say reduced recruitment and engaged staff, is £60,000. So your return on investment would be 12%, which is the 60 divided by the 50. So you would get 12% more back by doing this investment. And return on investment is a key measure that most organisations will use. And then there's the payback period. And this is how long does it take for you to get the benefits, for you to break even from investing £50,000. So if we invested £50,000, we got a benefit of 60 over a year, then, and we put that over equal months. Say we got a monthly net benefit of 5,000. So you've got a total investment of 50,000. The benefit that's coming in every month is 5,000. So it would take me 10 months to break even. Now, they're simple numbers. Obviously, we would put in the actual numbers of anything that we're doing. And I've actually put that in. Then if you go to the next question, slide, sorry, the scenario planning would be, well, what if my benefit reduced by 50% or the investment increased by 50%? Well, if my benefit reduces by 50%, that means I'm only going to get a benefit of £30,000 on a £50,000 investment. Then it wouldn't be worth doing, and it would actually take 20 months to pay back. So, I mean, that's an extreme case, but you do need to look at what would happen if things changed, moved. So it's a movable feast. So the tips on here for business case and for specific scenario planning is you use specific numbers so you can justify your numbers. You're conservative with your numbers, otherwise you're going to get your fingers burnt, because if it doesn't happen, then it's just cost you. So it's better to, I think, to be a bit more conservative as an accountant, obviously. Show your workings so people understand how you've got to where you've got to. Address your risks, as that shows to whoever's reviewing it. You have considered, you're not just going in gung-ho, you have considered everything. Link it to the strategic goals of an organisation. Now, not all organisations are great at telling us what their strategy is, but everything that we do, every decision that we make financially should be linked to the strategy, linked to a common goal, and keep it simple. So, sorry, then if I move on to control quickly, it's about continuing to build your commercial toolkit. Is look at some analytical habits. So set up some habits that you can do regularly. So if you have a set of key metrics, look at them every week. So you just build that habit in of looking at things. Monthly, maybe look at a specific area. So maybe look at your employee retention rates and do a deep dive of what that actually means. And then quarterly, it's looking at the strategy of your short-term numbers and how they link to long-term goals and build a pattern recognition. But it's habits that we have to put in place. We probably don't have enough time to do those, but it is something that if we build a template, build a process you can follow. And it's about being proactive. It's moving you from being reactive to being proactive, to anticipating what's going to happen. It will give you early warning signals, so if there's issues before they become problems. You create forecasting models, you develop planning frameworks, so you've got a structure in place. And I do have one last slide, which is the toolkit that we can put together. I'm happy to help with the toolkit, but that will evolve as your confidence grows. But this building habits will help you to build your confidence. And you need to regularly assess what's working and serving you. You do not want to be serving a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet needs to be serving you and your work. And you learn from the analysis, and then you adapt and you seek feedback. And it's just a loop. I mean, the seeking feedback, I'm talking to HR people who have that in their process. So it's about working through there. And I've finished with 3 minutes to spare. So sorry if I've rambled.
Right, no, not at all. And that's really interesting. Those things, the consistency, the feedback, the looking at, going back over and reviewing and checking where you are is exactly the same, isn't it, as to what I was talking about with your own finances and your own.
They're so aligned, so aligned.
So very briefly, we won't hold you much longer. First of all, I hang out on LinkedIn, so come and find me. My QR code is on there, but actually don't do that right now because we've got another question in the Slido another quick poll for you. But the things that I can offer people, I do one-to-one money coaching. So if any of you want to book a session with me, you feel free to. We can go through, do a deep dive on your situation and talk about how I can coach you through what ideas and solutions for that. I do a lot of financial education webinars. This is a really, really easy access into the financial wellbeing space. I've got lots of different topics that are really, really popular. Things like how to create a budget, how to get control of your finances, how to, buy your first home, all of those kind of educational things which tie into some of those key stages in life that we were talking about. I also look at management and leadership training, so how to create safe spaces and how to hold conversations about money, so where managers may come across people who can't afford to get to work because they can't, they've got financial strife, or that people are divulging in one-to-ones that they're having challenges with their money. There's lots of practical resources out there and places that people can signpost to. So I've got some training around that. And also for mental health first aiders to upskill them, quick 90-minute workshop to upskill mental health first aiders to feel confident about dealing with and signposting with regard to money conversations, which are more than likely to come up when you're talking about mental health. And lastly, I can, with the help of Jo's proposal that she's just put together, help you put together proposals and build a strategy around financial wellbeing to try and reduce down the absenteeism and the cost to the business due to financial stress. And then Jo?
Oh, so at the moment it's around individual coaching sessions, but I also will be looking at the toolkits. And we can either work through, if you bring your problem to me, we can work through that. Or if it's you just want to know the basics, we learn about the analytical habits, as well as I can teach you how to interpret a balance sheet and a P&L. But CIPD already do that apparently. And it's just learning habits, and then webinars and strategy.
Jo will be chucked out. We've both mentioned the CIPD.
Well, I'm not in it, so you know.
So very briefly, we've got a couple of Slidos. I've got one question. I've got a couple of questions that have come through, but before I answer those, what's one action you will take today following today's session? What's one thing you are going to take away from today that Jo and I have given you? And it doesn't matter who is who.
I saw, who was it who said that the demotivator has affected their Nadia.
Yes, I did see that.
Demotivator tool has just shocked me with my coffee habit. It's interesting, isn't it, when you just a few pounds and then you kind of multiply it up.
The demotivator tool is one of my favourite tools out there, I have to say.
Yeah.
With so many people, and we had, and actually I saw somebody do a post around this yesterday about how one coffee isn't going to change it, but actually I think they said they'd given up drinking and over 18 months they'd saved £6,000.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking through the comments now to see. Somebody has asked about how much you'd be putting into your pension. The first thing with your pension is to make sure that you're part of your workplace scheme, because your company will be paying into it. And that is free money that you won't get any other way than being part of your workplace pension scheme. Unfortunately, you will have to put some money towards that too, unless you've got a really generous employer. There are a few out there that do that. So that's the first thing I would say with pensions. And then how much depends really on what your plans are for the future. I know that's a bit of a wishy-washy answer, but we haven't got a huge amount of time today. But it depends on how long you've got, what you want your retirement to look like, how much is in your pension pots already. But the first thing, as I say, is to make sure you're part of that workplace scheme, and to start. The earlier you start, the more money you'll build up. You'll benefit from compound interest, and the earlier you start, the better. So there's a saying that we say quite a lot in financial circles, is the best time to start was yesterday, the second best time is to start today. This one might be for you, Jo, and me. If you suspect you're being overtaxed on your salary, where can you find help? Is there an online tool checker?
Oh, yes, there is, but I will have to have a look at that. There definitely is, because it's happened to me. So I'm going to have a look that one up, because I think there's a checker on the government website. So
yeah, the first place to start with is have a look at what your tax code is.
Yes.
And check the letter that is at the end of your tax code, and check that against what it means on the Inland Revenue website, on the HMRC website. So many of us have got the wrong tax code and definitely the wrong letter. So I think off the top of my head, T means that you are being emergency taxed. Is that right?
Taxed.
Right, Jo?
I think, yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but yes, I think so. So,
so if you want to pick that up with either Jo or I afterwards, then, if you want us to have a quick look, it should say 125L is a standard tax.
Yeah.
Is a standard tax code. So if it looks different to that, then there's something going on in the background.
Yeah, it will also change if you've got some benefits in there that impact that tax code. But yes.
And lastly, if you could just give us a quick rate of how you found today, that would be amazing.
Don't rate my tech skills. I blame something else, but you know.
Those gremlins.
Gremlins. We've lost.
And lastly, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yes.
So thank you so much. Thank you for all your comments in the comments as well. There's been some brilliant ones. I love the fact that someone's done Nadia's done the demotivator tool while we've been on here, and somebody just said that they're going to use some of the stuff that Joe has put together to build their numbers case. So that's absolutely fantastic. And as I say, if there's anything you need, reach out to us both. We're both on LinkedIn. So thank you. And sorry we've run over ever so slightly.
Abby, there was just one other question on the Slido, which was about how do I save more? But that's anonymous. But I was going to say that's probably a separate discussion.
Excellent, thanks, Sue. So without further ado, I will let you get on with the rest of, or we will let you get on with the rest of your day. And thank you so much, and thank you to Kirsty as well for allowing us to have the time as part of the Evolving webinar series that's out there. If you want to go and join Evolving, if you're not already, you can find Kirsty Banks-Morgan on LinkedIn. I feel like I'm doing a commercial now, like we are sponsored today by Evolving HR. But go and find out. She's got a free community for HR people. There's lots and lots going on in that community. So if you're not involved in it, please go and find it and sign up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.